Good morning, everybody. I'm Alex Yushin, founder of Apexive, and joining me today is our lead developer, Saiful Islam. I would like to talk very quickly in this following demo about where we stand today with using agents for business automation. If you remember my presentation from about a year ago, we were talking about the future of business automation and agentic AI. You might remember these slides where we were looking at two pictures, airplane of the Brothers Wright and the most modern Airbus 350. And basically the conclusion that 100 years of progress, the main components remain the same. Therefore, the thinking here that the agent's architecture will kind of remain the same, even though the different parts of this architecture will become more sophisticated. And if you remember, that was my take on what agents are. You have the intelligence here in the middle, which can be any of your model. You have the inputs coming from the user, but also the training data. You have the outputs. So you ask your model, hey, please show me the list of the customers that require some notification. And instead of your model giving you a direct answer, it will say, okay, to do that, I need to call some tools. I need to go and look for the information. So the output will not be your final answer, but then some output. And what happens here, then we make a loop, which is a reasoning loop or agentic loop of this tool that needs to be called. We need to have some piece of software that will call this tool and will again loop the results, the answer. So for example, go into our database, look up the customers that require notification, and then feed this information back to the model, to the intelligence, and then say, okay, this is the result of your tool call. And this loop will continue until the final result. So still a year later, this remains the same. We discussed that this agentic loop can be implemented with different software. Now we talk about the MCP hosts that run this agentic loop, but this loop can be also inside of the model itself, like the reasoning models, Grok, DeepSeek, latest ChatGPT. They do a bit of this looping inside of the model itself. So the loop can be inside or outside. Right now, I just want to give you a very quick demo to kind of demystify how you actually build this in practice. Saiful will share his screen right now, and I will guide you through the main elements of the system.
Thank you very much. I'll start to share my screen now. It should appear any moment. I think it has started.
Yeah, I can see it now. If you think about the previous slide, we need to have some piece of software that will run this reasoning loop or the agentic loop. There are different frameworks. There are basically two major architecture styles. One is when you have a workflow consisting of nodes that calls LLMs at all the different nodes. But different architecture that I want to show you right now is when you have a reasoning loop and you have the LLM itself to figure out the step that it needs to take to achieve the result. One of these frameworks is called Letta. It used to be called MemGPT. This is what you see here. What this framework does, it has an entity called agent. This entity has some system instructions. If you open the system instructions, you will see something that you would tell to your ChatGPT, hey, you are this and this, you have access to certain tools, and this is your goal. It has a set of tools, which you see here on the left. These tools allow the agent to access your CRM or any external system. In our case, this is Odoo ERP. And through these tools, the agent is able to execute actions within your ERP, CRM, and company. Well, and then we're going to look at how those tools are implemented in the ERP, but then basically here we are at the entrance of this loop. We can type something and the agent will start reasoning and figure out which tools to use. Before we do that, let's have a quick look on the side of the ERP on the Odoo.
Sure.
If you can show that screen. So here, Again, this can be any system. This can be your QuickBooks if they support this. This can be your HubSpot. This can be some system that you have built custom for your company. But basically what this does, it says, I have created a set of tools that are available for my agent to use. And I'm making it available to this Letta MAV GPT MCP host. And here, when we look quickly at the tools that are available, Saiful has built a tool for finding surveys, for working with the surveys and submitting the answers on behalf of the user. So the little use case that we have implemented is creating a survey. Maybe you can show the survey in the Odoo side, how it looks like. So we have a simple survey that we want our customers to fill in. Basically, it's onboarding for building a software project. And the questions like, what is the goal? Which platforms do you need, etc. Can be anything. Usually we would send this to our customer and have them fill in an online form. Sometimes the answers in those forms were not exactly what we would have expected. So now we have an agent that will guide our customer interactively by asking questions in the survey and then also asking for clarifications. If somebody gives a simple yes or no answer, the agent is able to detect that, look at the hints in the questions and say, can you please clarify that? In a natural conversation, we can get all the information that we need and then get it back into our system in the form of the answers to the survey. So we have those tools to look at this survey and fill in the questions. And then we have the Letta server there, the agent that is connected to our CRM/ERP. And basically you can put any user interface on top of this, but basically what you see here, we can type a message. Can we start with the hello, Saiful? But maybe you can do a demonstration. So Saiful types in hello, and you see that the agent, instead of answering immediately, it goes into the reasoning loop. It tries to understand what the user says, and then I'm combining it with the system instructions. It uses a tool to send a message back saying, are you interested in going through the customer requirements assessment today? Basically, now the Saiful can demonstrate how this agent works. So let's say yes. Let's see what the next question is going to be. Saiful said that, yes, he's interested. The agent figured out I need to use the tool to go into my ERP and find out what survey questions I should use for this task. And then I suppose the first thing that the agent wants to know is the name. So let's go ahead and do that. Perfect. And now what's interesting, basically, I think this tool starting survey has provided the ERP with the name and the email of Saiful. If you go back to our ERP, we will see that the survey started for this particular user. Then there is a first question. What's the main goal of your project? Let's answer something. Perfect. And as you can see, there's an answer. So agent uses tools that we have looked at earlier. It has submitted the answer and it got the next question to ask. So when we go into the ERP again. So here you see that we started a survey and we started already storing data into our ERP. So here you have the Saiful name and the first question answer. This way you can build any system for business automation. So you can think about a customer service bot and whatnot. Now, what's interesting is that if you go back into the Letta window, there are a few things this system does. Obviously, it runs this agentic loop. That's the most important thing, but it also manages the context window of the model. So if you click on the context window, that's, there's only so much information that can feed into the short-term memory of the model, the context window. So that's something that needs to be managed. If the conversation gets too long, then the agent will try to summarize it or maybe remove things that are not relevant for their particular point in the conversation. So that's great. Now, what's also great about using this type of frameworks instead of running this agentic loop yourself is that if you want to enable the agent to talk in a voice, you can just add an extra module and the same flow is available to you through a normal voice conversation. And Saiful will demonstrate this as well.
Hi, I'd like to continue the survey that we were doing.
And there you go. Okay, so let's just stop here. Basically, it's not about trying to impress you with the voice engine, but to show you how adding the voice seamlessly fits into this architecture. So basically, text to speech goes into the same reasoning loop. The voice that was captured from side input ends up in the same reasoning loop in the same thread. And then the agent can continue using these tools and continue working with tasks. So this little demo basically, hopefully, gives its goal to show you how top level agentic architecture looks like. That's pretty much all that there is, right? So you have an agentic MCP host that runs the loop, that manages the context window, that has any number of external MCP tools, and some of them are connected to your CRM, ERP, can be email, can be any other system. And then on top of it, you can lay any user interface, and that user interface can be a chat window, a voice chat, or a video chat. There's nothing magical about connecting an avatar, something from a system like HeyChan, that will be interviewing you in a normal conversation. And of course, all these elements progressively becoming more sophisticated, complex. The models get smarter, the video gets better. We will be building more and more tools, and you can connect different agents together. So if one agent needs to call another agent for whatever reason, one of the tools that available to the agent can be call another agent, pass the information, call multiple agents and collect information. So I think it gives us a very nice starting point for today's discussion, and I will be happy to answer any questions during the meeting. Looking forward to see you guys.